For today, we're going to be looking at what we call the binomial theorem. But what it is for, if I wanted you guys to expand it, I have 2 minus 1 to the 6th powered. We could do the long way. I could have you guys write 2m minus 1 6 times. For us to practice our algebras, that would be okay. That would be nice. I could have you guys have it 6 times and then do the distributive. Multiply the first 2 parentheses. Get that. Then you guys are going to get binomial. Whatever you get, distribute it to the 3rd parentheses. Whatever you get, distribute to the 4th parentheses. Distribute to the 5th parentheses. Distribute to the 6th parentheses. And you're going to come up with a long set of numbers and letters. And I'm asking for the 6th term. Now, that's a long way. Like I said, for us to practice our multiplication and addition and our steps in algebra, that will be okay. However, there is an easy way how to do this. Pascal actually extended even more. He came out with another idea, which you guys will learn later on. But the binomial theorem, what it does is, I'm going to be looking at my expansion to the 6. The way I will do this, I will do 6 choose 0. And that I'm going to do my number at the front is 6 choose 0. Then for the first term, for the second term, I'm going to do 6 choose 1, 6 choose 2, 6 choose 3, 6 choose 4, 6 choose 5, and 6 choose 6. That's for the first number at the very front. That's going to give me 7 terms, I know. But when you expand this to the 6 powered, a binomial to 6 power, you do get 7 terms. Then my 2m, my first term, I'm going to do 2m to the 6th, 2m to the 5th, 2m to the 4th, 2m to the 3rd, 2m to the 2nd, 2m to the 1, and 2m to the 0. Interesting. My negative 1, I'm also going to do my exponents, but instead of starting at 6 down to 0, I'm going to start from 0 all the way to 6. I will do negative 1 to the 0, negative 1 to the 1, negative 1 to the 2, negative 1 to the 3, negative 1 to the 4th, negative 1 to the 5th, negative 1 to the 6th. I find out each of these terms, and that is better than if I was to do all the multiplication with all the parentheses. Now here I'm asking for the 6th term, so I'm not asking for the first term. I'm not asking for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I'm asking for the 6th. Now, the way I'm going to do this, first of all, let me find out what 6 choose 5 is. Right, 6 choose 5. I'm going to have 6 factorial over 1 factorial and then 5 factorial. 6 factorials in that 6 times 5 factorial. I left my 5 as a factorial because I have a 5 factorial at the bottom already. So that way they cancel out. And I know 1 factorial is 1. So isn't 6 over 1 just 6? So 6 choose 5 is 6. 2 to the m to the 1 powered, isn't that just 2? 2 times m to the 1 powered, isn't that just 2m? Negative 1 to the 5th, negative 1 to the 5th, isn't that just negative 1? So now, when I combine these, let me multiply my numbers. Numbers I can easily multiply are 6 times 2 times negative. That gives me negative 12. And then m. Notice how I can easily find each of my terms. Easily. So now, the idea on this is I'm not going to ask you guys to multiply the parentheses that many times. I'm just going to have you guys use this formula. Now, the interesting part though, my sixth term, starting at zero, start counting at zero. So 0, 1, 2, 3. The sixth numbered, keep in mind, starting at zero, the sixth numbered is 5. The 5 is very important because I do 6 choose 5. My 6 comes from my exponent, 6 choose 5. And then my second term, there's my 5. Let me explain something real quick over here. I want the first term in expansion of 3b plus 1. So starting at 0, start counting at 0, my first number is at 0. So what I'm going to do, for me to find my first term, I'm going to do, and I have my exponent is 5, I'm going to do 5 choose 0. That's my first number. And then I have my 3b and my 1. I have my two numbers here. Now let me worry about my exponent. How much is 5 minus 0? So I start with the exponent, 5 minus the term. How much is 5 minus 0? And you guys will be like, well, that's 5. That's exactly the number I'm going to need here. Now, how much is 5 minus the 5 that I just came out with? So 5, the number I start with, minus this 5. How much is 5 minus 5? And you guys are going to be like, well, 0. That's my term that I use here. So let me find out what's 5 choose 0. 5 choose 0, isn't that 5 factorial over 5 factorial, 0 factorial? Interesting part, the 5 factorial, 5 factorial cancel out. I know 0 factorial is 1. Can I leave the top empty? So 1. So 5 choose 0 is 1. How much is 3 to the 5th? I'm actually going to grab my calculator here. 3 to the 5th, it tells me it's 243. So 3b to the 5th will have to be 243 b to the 5th. Now, how much is 1 to the 0? 1 to the 0, anything to 0 powered, is 1. Now, let me multiply my numbers that I can. What's 1 times 243 times 1? So it's going to be 243 b to the 5th. All right, so here, starting at 5, starting at 0, my first term is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So looking at my first term, I'm going to do, for my first thing, I'm going to say 5 to 0. If I ask you guys for the third term, for example, you guys do 5 choose 2. If I ask you guys for the fourth term, you guys said 5 choose 3. Okay, so here, because it's the first term, I'm going to say 5 choose 0. Then I'm going to say my terms are 2n and a negative 1. Okay, so what's 2n? So first of all, I'm going to say, well, my exponent's 5 minus 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. Now, the 5 that I started with minus the 5 that I just did, 0. My exponents have to add up to the power that I give you guys here on the binomial. my 2 exponents 5 and 0 do add up to 5, so that's okay. All right, what's 5 choose 0? Let me find out what's 5 choose 0. That's 5 factorial. Let me do it over here. 5 factorial over 5 factorial 0 factorial. The 5 factorials cancel out. I know 0 factorial is 1. Cannot leave the top empty, so 1 over 1, isn't that just 1? So this is 1. 2n to the 5th power. What's 2 to the 5th? That's 32. Right, I can easily use a calculator. I'm going to go 2 to the 5th. It says 32. Right, so I know 2 to the 5th is 32. N to the 5th is n to the 5th. Now, what's negative 1 to the 0 power? 1. Let me multiply my numbers. 1 times 32 times 1. Isn't that just 32? N to the 5th. Now, let's take a look at this example. Starting at 0, I'm going to do my number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here I'm asking, give me the third term. So give me a third number. So I'm gonna start with 6 choose 2. 6 choose 2. My first term is 2b. My second term is 1. Then I say, well, what's 6 minus 2? 4. What's 6 minus 4? 2. My two exponents, 4 and 2, must add up to 6 because that's my exponent. All right, so what's 6 choose 2? Let's figure that out. 6 factorial over 4 factorial, 2 factorial. What's 6 factorial? Isn't that 6 times 5 times 4 factorial? I have a 4 factorial at the bottom, so that's why I stop at 4 factorial. They cancel out. Now my 2 factorial, isn't that 2 times 1? So on the top, I have 30. At the bottom, I have 2. Isn't 30 divided by 2 15? So 6 choose 2. I have 15. Now 2 to the 4th, because I have 2b to the 4th powered, is in 2 to the 4th, 16. So I have 16b to the 4th. And what's 1 squared? Isn't that 1? Let me multiply my numbers. 15 times 16 times 1. I'm just going to go 15 times 16. I'm not going to go times 1, right? That's 15 times 16 is 240. So my answer here will be 240 b to the 4th. You guys know how to type in exponents. We use the little caret thing. So when I'm typing this, I'm asking for 240 b to the 4th. That question number 14, I would type that as 243 b to the 5th. Right? Use the little caret for exponents.